Yo, internet, what's going on? Some wonderful news came out from Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, obviously, give or take, with a wonderful Twitch stream from Paradox Interactive, who went on to give a little bit of information about Thin Bloods, what they're like where they stand with all the other vampires and everything, and most likely brand new abilities and skills. And and also, if you've played the first Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines, you would kind of know that Thin Bloods are not necessarily the top of the food chain when it comes to how vampires operate, like in the World of Darkness series. The Thin Bloods are technically supposed to just be vampires who basically don't have as strong of an affinity to a specific clan as all the rest. Because again, like in the first game, you say like you are lucky enough to be bitten by somebody to where that you are connected to one of the strong houses, whereas Thin Bloods, from what I understand, or at least how they explained it within the game, is that they're kind of like the 15th generation, or less like the 23rd, or so on and so forth. I could be wrong, but like that, the bloodline, it keeps getting weaker and weaker and weaker, and then as it gets weaker, they just create these thin blood vampires who don't have the same family abilities as all of the other vampires do. So they don't have to deal with the craze, or with the insane nature of being a Malkavian, or they don't have to necessarily deal with like the disfiguration that comes with being a Nosferatu, like that kind of thing. However, based on this one though, they did go on to talk about some of their abilities in which that they will be getting within the second game. And to be fair, a lot of these seem to be a bit more streamlined, sort of like what we're used to. Because again, in the first game, it was like most of the abilities you gained, like if you played a gangrel, you would be more bestial and you could summon animals and monsters or wolves at that, like that kind of thing. Whereas that in this one, you kind of have a chiropteran class, because again, like how they, or at least like to reiterate this for like the umpteenth time, it's like that they went on to state that you will start out playing like the first few hours as a Thin Blood, and then slowly you would say you would gain access to one of the clans in which that they would kind of open up for you, which is very different from the first game, because when you were creating a character in the first game, whatever you get is what you got. If you were a Ventru, like when you started out at the game, you will say like you are a Ventru until the end of the game. So basically you start and you end, like that's it. In this one, they're kind of giving you a little bit of chance to fill everything out, which I do like. But basically you do have the chiropteran class, which is you love bats, you can't get enough of them. You can glide in the air. It makes your bones hollow like a bird, so you can temporarily float, get up to hard to reach places, and surprise people by swooping down on them. Like say bat swarm lets you summon a swarm of bats that can attack and disable enemies, and eventually you'll be able to protect yourself behind a wall of bats. I feel as though that this one will be something like the Tremere, like how they had, well, not necessarily like the flying and getting around, but you do get the ability to use blood, and if you use one of the so-called patches from like the clan quest for like the first game, like you can also get the ability to turn invisible, which is sort of like the gliding ability. You have also mentalism, which your massive vampire brain gives you it gives you telekinesis. Say pull allows you to grab objects from objects and weapons with power. So with the power of your mind. With levitate, you can suspend a person in the air, and eventually more than one person. Fully upgraded, you will be able to levitate everyone and everything within a whole area. Now this one is something new, but I feel as though is that this one is somewhat to like a Venture ability, and I believe others also had it. I forget which other one. I think it was also like Tremere or something like that. But it was the ability to control other people's minds. It's like it was like a domination thing. I think it was called dominate, and you could control their minds and whatnot. This one is different though. I do like this one. Seems a little bit more fun. And of course we have nebulation, which that you can turn into mist. Using mist shroud summons a cloud of mist that muffles footsteps and reduces visibility, letting you sneak around. You can also become a cloud of mist yourself, which will help you get around and get all up in your enemy's lungs. Whoever wrote this is silly. Envelop creates a vortex of mist that surrounds, blinds, and chokes every enemy it touches. Now, this one just seems like a very this one seems like an updated obfuscate. You know, the ability I was talking about earlier, the one that lets you turn invisible. This one, because again, like when you turn invisible with that ability, it looked almost as if like you had mist around your body. Now this just seems like that they just took that skill and they upgraded it to like a devastating level to where that you can use it to sort of take down enemies. Now, obviously, all of these seem like to kind of have like some pretty cool uses, like as it is already. Like nebulation, obviously, like this is the stealth. Like this is for people who like stealth. Mentalism is for people who like to brute force their way through problems and whatnot. And then chiropterans is for people like who like to fight and sort of like have like really cool combat scenarios and whatnot. So again, I really like what they're presenting so far. But until then though, that is what I got to say about that. I'll catch you guys on the next Jongravesshow Show. If you got any opinions on this, please share them with me down there in the comment section. I'll see you next time. I'm out.